Good afternoon, and welcome to this meeting of the Board of Education. This meeting is being televised live on AACPS TV and streamed on AACPS YouTube channel. General information and protocols for the meeting are posted on the sign by the doorway as you enter the room. So please make sure you read those if you have not already. Please pause for the invocation. O God, we pray to administer that which is just in all educational policies, being ever mindful of your guidance. Stir us to action with love, wisdom, and understanding. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. That takes us to item 2.03, approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
So motion to approve.
Do I have a second? Second. Do I have consensus? All right, thank you. That takes us to item 2.04, establish agenda order. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the agenda as written.
Second.
Thank you. Do I have consensus? Okay. Item 2.05, I believe there are no recognitions today, which brings us to item 2.06, Educator of the Month, Ms. Corkadell.
Thank you, Dr. Tobin. The National Education Association's Read Across America Day is a nationwide reading celebration that takes place annually on March 2nd, Dr. Seuss's birthday. Across the country, thousands of schools and libraries participate by bringing together kids, teens, and books. Today, the Board of Education recognizes an educator in our school system who is extremely dedicated and brings a love of reading to her students. She teaches all levels of 7th grade language arts and implements the guided reading program with fidelity. Miss Jacqueline Lake of Crofton Middle School. Thank you for joining us. Wait. Jackie, as she's known by her colleagues, is a kind, patient teacher who never gives up on her students, reaching the rigorous stands. She spends countless hours ensuring every lesson and assignment is differentiated to meet the unique needs of each individual student in her classroom. Miss Lake is one of the most creative and down-to-earth teachers and people. She is so humble in her abilities and is so deserving of this recognition. She is a quiet leader who's an integral part of Crofton Middle School. She impacts both fellow staff and students in a lasting way. Perhaps this colleague summed it up the best, and I quote, "Jackie Lake is the type of educator who will spend hours crafting a phenomenal lesson and share it with her colleagues without a word or any expectation of fanfare or even a thanks. Her humble attitude and tireless dedication are precisely the reason she deserves this recognition. Miss Jacqueline Lake, you are truly one of Anne Arundel County's best. So, for all the reasons you've heard this morning, the Board of Education is honored to recognize you as the Educator of the Month for March 2023. Congratulations, and please join me here in the...
Let me just add that we will take a break following these to get pictures in the front as well. So after all of our recognitions are done.
All the wonderful quotes that your colleagues gave to you, and I'm sure they wanted to write many more. And here is your citation of recognition, and of course, your plaque. Thank you very much for all you do. So, how did they get you here today?
They just surprised me and said I needed to be here, and I wasn't sure why, but very much appreciate it. Thank you.
And then who is joining you this morning?
I have my husband and my department chair as well. So, thank you.
Well, thank you so much. It is an honor and privilege to give this to you this morning. Thank you for all you do.
Congratulations. That brings us to item 2.7, Employee of the Month, Mr. Silkworth.
Thank you, President Tobin. So when you enter a school building, often one of the first faces that you'll see is of the school secretary. At Old Mill Middle North, one of those faces is that of Miss Harper Herdeman. While she only began at Old Mill North last April, she immediately began to display how she truly cares about the well-being of everyone that she encounters. She is a true asset to the front office staff. Ms. Herdeman handles even the most difficult of days with kindness and compassion towards the students and staff alike. She makes a point of remembering students' names and greets them with a smile. She will drop her entire to-do list to connect with a student, direct a parent, help someone on the phone, or assist with any spur-of-the-moment situation. Her ability to juggle multiple tasks and wear multiple hats is a true gift. She devotes an enormous amount of energy to fulfilling her duties. She listens to the students' needs and encourages them to make good decisions and to be a contributing member of the school community. She is comforting. She is a comforting presence and a sense of calm in an otherwise chaotic situation. She always provides a positive outlook through the negativity. Ms. Herdeman does everything with love and respect. Harper strives to make Old Mill Middle School North an even better place to learn and grow. While many students may feel uneasy going to the discipline office, she helps them feel calm and cared for. She provides a safe landing for the students. The Board of Education enthusiastically recognizes you, Ms. Harper Herdeman, as the March 2023 Employee of the Month. Congratulations. Would you please come forward to accept the award?
Congratulations.
And thank you so much.
Who do you have with you today? My whole family just walked in. My husband, my two daughters who are students in the county, my best friend, our social worker, Ms. Mosh, and my favorite admin, Ms. Brophy.
So why did you think you were coming here today?
We're here.
Did someone surprise you?
This is an appeal for a suspension today. I was ready to be, raked over the coals. This is much better.
We Congratulations.
Gavin, I'm familiar.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's amazing how many people show up and realize the people they knew and loved lie really well. So, so that brings us to item 2.08, Volunteer of the Month, Ms. Schulheim.
Thank you. According to John C. Maxwell, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. This month's Volunteer of the Month knows the way of volunteering, goes the way to help students and staff, and shows the way for new volunteers at Jones Elementary. Mrs. Patricia Gilligan, the Board of Education is thrilled to honor you as our March 2023 Volunteer of the Month. Over the last 3 years, many of the volunteers at Jones Elementary aged out of the school, and the volunteer team had to start from scratch. Oh my goodness. Since joining the Jones family in 2020, Mrs. Gilligan has helped pave the way to their new normal, ranging from running after-school programs, organizing volunteers, coordinating the book fair, and leading new volunteers. Mrs. Gilligan shows us the way to volunteer. Nina McCarthy, secretary of the PTA, described how Mrs. Gilligan brought back after-school programs to Jones Elementary. This year alone, she has implemented a gardening club that is working on creating a living classroom in the courtyard area, a yoga club to work on mind-body connection, and several other clubs, including Chess Club, 24 Club, and Robotics / Coding Club. She has worked tirelessly to staff each club with appropriate leaders and chaperones, not to mention ensuring each child has the proper paperwork and each volunteer has the correct background check. It is no small task to organize, and she handles it with ease and grace. At the same time as planning and staffing 8 weeks of after-school clubs, Mrs. Gilligan coordinated the Scholastic Book Fair, working closely with the media specialist to create a smooth process that was successful and well received. Beyond the basics of running the fair, Mrs. Gilligan demonstrated how much she cares about the children by working with the school counselor to create a special fund that would ensure that every single student was able to purchase a book if they wished. Mrs. Gilligan also leads the PTA Enrichment Committee. As a mother of 5 AACPS students, including a set of triplets, she has created relationships with local businesses that will benefit Jones Elementary and our children for years to come, including partnerships with Park Books and Himmel Garden Center. Mrs. McCarthy tells us that Mrs. Gilligan is not only a team player, she is a leader when it comes to making things happen. She never hesitates to ask a question, offer a solution, or collaborate with the PTA staff and administration. A volunteer who is this dedicated, inclusive, and is committed is a rarity. Mrs. Gilligan, Jones Elementary School, and the entire Anne Arundel County Public Schools community are blessed to have such a dedicated volunteer who shows the way, and we thank you for your service. Would you please come forward? It's with great appreciation I would like to present the Volunteer of the Month bell and certificate to you as a symbol of our appreciation. So this is for you. Wow. Yeah. And at home.
Yeah.
Oh, let me shake your hand first. And this is for you as well. And we just have an informal picture. And who do you have with you today? All your
Oh
kids?
my goodness, so many people that I'm very grateful to have a part of my life, and thank you all so much. I couldn't do any of it without all of those people. So
Wonderful. And why did they tell you to bring you here?
just to talk about clubs, you guys were going to take away clubs from me.
Well, congratulations. Yeah. Congratulations. Well deserved. Yeah. Congratulations.
So clearly, we're pretty mean as far as everybody's concerned. So we're going to take 5 minutes, and though the recipients, families, those who have given the awards, please go out to the front, and pictures will be taken. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Welcome back. Before we move on, I wanted to mention, I neglected to mention at the beginning, our student member, Mr. McGrath, is not here today because he is participating in the U.S. Senate Youth Program as one of the 2 representatives from Maryland. So I'm sure he's having a fantastic experience down the road in D.C., and we look forward to having him back with us after he has completed his couple of weeks in that program. So we now move on to item 3, public comments. There are no public comments today. So we will be moving forward to section 4, reports. And the first of those is item 4.01, the PTA report. We don't have one today. Okay, we do not have a report in PTA. That will take us on to item 4.02, the president's report. I have a couple of things to update on. I was, speaking of the PTA, very fortunate, along with Dr. Bedell, to attend the National PTA Reflections Awards ceremony, where we got to see some incredible work by students from a number of our schools. It was a thrill to see this program in the county. I know a number of leaders in our PTA in the county worked hard to bring this program to the county, and we look forward to seeing it expand. Ms. Corkadell, I see your light.
My apologies, Madam President, but I thought it would maybe noteworthy today to recognize National Women's Day. The entire month is dedicated to highlight and focus on the history of the accomplishments of obtaining equity and equality for women. And AACPS has had some trailblazers over its decades, and I thought it may be noteworthy for us to just make a note of recognition verbally for our trailblazers. And moving forward, I'm looking forward to the next chapter because we're making progress, but we do have a way to go. And I think us recognizing that has taken us to great strides. So thank the both of you, Dr. Bedell and Dr. Tobin, for your leadership in those efforts. And I wish everyone a warm, wonderful day of recognizing our freedom and rights.
Thank you. And we have some incredible young women coming up through our school system. So that is exciting. Ms. Schulheim.
It's also holy, so happy holy to all who celebrate.
Thank you. I also wanted to note that I had the opportunity on February 22nd to attend one of the dance festivals, one of the ones at South River, and that was extraordinary. I was there with Ms. Jackson, and we had a fabulous time. As someone who myself studied dance for 16 years, I know how much work went into that, and what a joy it was to watch each and every group of students from schools across the county deliver incredible performances. So congratulations to those students, to their teachers, to their choreographers, to their families, to everyone who put in this incredible effort to bring about what is a huge event. I attended only one of the festivals. There are multiple festivals that occur, and the work that goes into that is extraordinary. So, and I also wanted to say that along with Dr. Bedell and a number of my colleagues, we also had the great joy of surprising the Teacher of the Year finalists on February 22nd. There will be, of course, a big event in April to honor them and to announce the Anne Arundel County Teacher of the Year. But it is always one of the great joys to be able to surprise these extraordinary teachers and educators who are emblematic of the work that so many of our educators are doing across the county. Finally, I would like to make a special welcome to the newest member of our team here at the Board of Education. Mr. Dan Reagan has joined us as the director of our internal audit office. This is an office that many in the public may not be aware of, but it is one of the most critical offices for any Board of Education. We are delighted to welcome Mr. Reagan to our team. He comes to us from the Maryland Office of the Inspector General of Education, where he served as Supervisory Inspector General for investigative audits. Prior to that, he served for 6 years as an internal auditor for Prince George's County Public Schools and spent 7 years in the Office of the Inspector General for the Central Intelligence Agency. So he brings a wealth of experience. This will be a boon to the board, to our entire system, to our students, and to the taxpayers of this county as he performs critical work. So welcome, Mr. Reagan. We are delighted to have you. And that brings my report to an end. So that takes us to item 4.03, the Policy Committee report. Ms. Dent.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dr. Toby, Dr. Bedell, thank you all. We had a great meeting yesterday on March the 7th with our policy committee. I would love to welcome also a new member of the policy committee, Ms. Let me make sure I got her name right, Ms. Masa Contact. She is coming to us as our new legislative and policy support specialist, And we know that she's going to bring great things to us because she's a Clark Atlanta graduate. But also, we had the pleasure of welcoming Mr. Dan Ray to our policy committee from the Director of Audit. So that was great. In the business of the meeting, we were able to cover 2 regulations, one that will really address a lot of the COMAR updates, which is the policy for graduation activities and the care of our school equipment that's there. So we'll be able to discuss both of those we discuss both of those regulations, and you all will see some updates to those regulations. Please feel free to make any modifications and edit. I will tell you that many of the changes are COMAR changes. They're not changes that we personalized at all. So take your time to review those regulations. Other than that, we didn't have any information for the good of the order. Great meeting and great discussion. Ms. Gracie is doing a fabulous job of working on with our legislations while the delegation is in session. So I do think that we'll have a lot of reports from her. And if you check your email, you should see some information about proposals that are bills that are out there that may affect some of our policies. Other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Dent. Item 4.04, the Equity Committee report, that would normally be delivered by the chair, Mr. McGrath. He's not here today, so I will leave it to him to update us at a later meeting, which takes us to item 4.05, the superintendent's report. Dr. Bedell.
All right. Thank you, Madam President. We have a slide deck that we'll go through. I just want to just start off by saying hello to everyone who's either online or in attendance today. I have been extremely busy since our last board meeting. I had an opportunity to attend the National Superintendents Association conference and actually presented a session there around supporting superintendents across the country with this work. I attended the Institute for Education Innovation conference recently. I had an opportunity to attend the Spamalota play at Bates, and as a parent, to see your daughter, all of the work that she put in, and to see all of those other students perform the way that they performed in the middle school play was impressive. But probably what was more impressive about what I experienced there was the opening remarks just around how AACPS wants us as guests to conduct ourselves in a very cordial manner when we are listening to a performance. And it appears to be standard. It just made me proud, of our expectations that we not only have for our students, but our expectations that we have for guests attending our events. It's a very polished school district. I will continue to say that. And I continue to just smile over and over again around just how amazing things are. So I wanted to share that with you. I also want to congratulate our 6 Teacher of the Year finalists who we had the pleasure of surprising, as you've heard from Madam President. Nia Baker of Lindale Middle School, Ian Burns of Arundel High School, Mary Kay Connerton of Annapolis High School, Alexis Cutler of Tyler Heights Elementary School, Courtney Kinney of South Shore Elementary School, and Christine Colley McAllister of Magathy River Middle School. The AACPS Teacher of the Year will be announced at the annual Excellence in Education Awards on April 20th. Some other good news that we want to share with you all. Congratulations are also due to some of our student athletes. 5 wrestlers captured state championships last weekend. Dominica Gladwell of Southern High School and Lexi Paban of Crofton High School each won titles in the girls tournament. Sam Ditmars of South River High School, Liam DeBar of Broadneck High School, and RJ Duncan, who I've known from my first stint of living here, because we went to the same church together when he was younger, of Old Mill High School, won in the boys tournament. South River High School also won the state dual meet title in its division. And we have 2 teams still alive in the state basketball tournament. Glen Burnie High School girls team will play for the state championship on Friday night. And Meade High School boy team plays in the state semis tonight out in Prince George's County. I also want to congratulate Severna Park because that was a tough one for me last night, having to watch two of our teams battle it out. But the good news was we knew one of our teams were going to advance to compete in the state title. And that is something that's very rare. So kudos to all of those athletes, the coaches, and the parents who have to give up a lot in order for these students to reach heights like this. Next, our amazing HR team, whom you will hear from in a presentation later in this meeting, is continuing our efforts to recruit awesome educators to work with our students. More than 150 educators attended the first in-person teacher recruitment job fair we've held since 2020 at Severna Park High School on Saturday, and I'm told the energy was off the charts. Thanks to everyone who took part in that event, and we look forward to hearing from you all in a few minutes. We hit a milestone this week with regard to our outreach to Spanish-speaking families. Our All Spanish Facebook page reached 1,000 followers. That's a great accomplishment for a page that just started in August. So I want to give kudos to our communication team for continuing to help figure out ways to create this sense of belonging for everybody that is enrolled in this school district. That is a really nice accomplishment. As I've said, since I've gotten here, I want to take every opportunity I can to speak with our students because I do have a story that I think can impact their lives. In addition, they have things to say that can help us better the work that we are doing. I've had a chance to speak to 3 groups over the last 2 weeks with an actual slide deck presentation that I utilized over the years. 2 assemblies at MacArthur Middle School to the entire student body. And then afterwards, I stayed there and had lunch with the students. So that was an interesting experience. And then one group earlier this week at Crofton Middle School, where the students had a ton of questions after the presentation, as well as giving presentations as part of Black History Month events at Annapolis High School and Monarch Annapolis. I look forward to more opportunities to do that in the future and will continuously clear my schedule in an effort to make sure that our students understand who their superintendent is, what drives me, but also allowing for our students to understand that they will have voice in the direction that this school district heads in. As we have done for many years, our school system will administer the SAT exam free of charge for all juniors this month. That will occur on Wednesday, March 22nd. On the same day, we are offering sophomores the opportunity to take the pre-SAT for a fee. These are great opportunities, and we are pleased to be able to offer them to students. So that we have sufficient staff to administer both exams, all juniors and any sophomores who will be testing will report to school at the normal time on March 22nd, with other high school students reporting 3 hours and 15 minutes later. There will be double bus runs on this day to accommodate students. More information about transportation arrangements will be sent to families soon. There's something that's not in my notes that I think is absolutely important, and it is a conversation I'm having with my team. We talk a lot about wanting to become a barrier-free school district. So as we think about pre-SAT, the exposure that we want students to have, even as early as the 9th grade getting exposure, these are the conversations we're going to have where ultimately the school district will have to foot the bill to make sure that all of our kids get exposure to taking the pre-SAT. It is important because it allows for us to be able to identify AP potential at a much earlier rate, but it also allows for us to help build kids' skill sets up so that they have opportunities to obtain scholarships. National Merit Scholars is an important thing for me. I think as a school district, we have to do our job to make sure that we're producing more National Merit Scholars so that it allows for those kids to ultimately matriculate through college with a significant reduced amount of potential debt. And so that will be a part of our conversation as we talk about next steps on a barrier-free school district. As to the latest updates on our transportation numbers, we currently have 40 bus driver vacancies and 55 potential drivers in training. I also want to tell you that our transportation technology and communication teams have been working on a new system that we will roll out in the near future that will make communications with impacted families more streamlined. So you can see almost for the most part throughout the year when we give these updates, those numbers have constantly dropped. And so we're hoping that this is the beginning of a permanent fixture, and hopefully come the beginning of this upcoming school year, we'll retain the people that we have while also filling these other vacancies, and hopefully open up this school year as seamless as possible. That would be the goal. I also want to remind everyone of the potential redistricting scenarios we have released for public comment as we embark on this comprehensive two-phase process. I encourage everyone to go to the www.aacps.org/redistricting to look at the information and offer your thoughts. This is a long process with plenty of opportunity for input, so I urge everyone to take part. I want to remind everyone of our #BePresent campaign, where parents, alumni, and community members can build relationships with students in our schools and be another set of eyes and ears for administrators. Anyone who is interested can send an email to bepresent@aacps.org. We will start this off in a phased process, and more information is to come soon around what those schools are. And finally, while we are on the verge of spring, planning for our summer programs is well underway. We literally have thousands of opportunities for students and families this summer. They all can be found at www.aacps.org/summer. Applications for programs are due by March 15th. President Tobin, this concludes my report. Thank you.
Well, you have been busy, Dr. Bedell. Thank you for all those updates. Some very good news in there. Ms. Dent, I see your light.
Just a quick question on the update on the transportation. I know that we talked about bringing more buses in-house to see if we could kind of expand our, I would say, portfolio of
Yes,
buses.
yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah,
Where
I think we're still in the that's still in the plans. And Mr. Stansky, if I'm not mistaken, I believe we've already requested some additional vans to add into our portfolio. And I don't know if it's there's something in here on buses, but I think that's with a particular partner. Is that correct?
Good afternoon. For the record, Matt Stansky, Acting Chief Operating Officer. So Dr. Bedell's correct. In the fiscal 24 budget, we have requested 5 additional vans to be in-house. The goal is over 5 years to have a fleet of 40, to also, but with a complement of vans from contracted drivers as well. But looking long-term, there's obviously 2 really big items into whether, our decision point as to, how much we want to perform the service in-house versus how much we want to rely on contractors. And that is our capacity versus our contractors' capacity to electrify our bus fleet, right? So starting in January of 2025, all new buses have to be electric. And so who amongst our partners in the vendor world will have the capacity to do that along with us? And I think the second piece is we still, in order for us to even expand our opportunity to do this in-house, we have to identify a new transportation hub center. We just do not have the facility capacity at the moment to do anything more in-house. And so obviously, I think you'll see over the next 12 to 18 months, as we look at our capital budget and our proposals, conversations with the county about acquiring property, and then a capital budget request to build a facility to both house transportation staff along with an enhanced fleet to include the capacity to charge, what will have to be new electric buses.
Okay, that's gave me about 5 more questions that I'm not going to take up the board dais with to ask, but I do want to, at a time to be determined, so that we can make sure that the public realizes that one of the strategies that we talked about was creating capacity in-house. And so what you just told me is that the realism of that is probably not as, it's a lot more daunting than we foreseen. And so I want to be transparent with the expectation and manage expectations that that's not going to happen, and that that portion needs to be contracted out.
Yep. And I would say even if you look at the Prismatic report, even with our existing balance of in-house versus contracted, one of the recommendations was a new facility for that team, along with expanded capacity to hold and store our fleet. And so we're going to look at that, but along with the county, but along with potential expansion of the fleet over time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Stansky. So seeing no more lights, that takes us to item 5, presentations, 5.01, workforce diversity update. Dr. Bedell.
All right, thank you. So at this time, we will have our HR team to come up, led by Ms. Cutches, who will do a presentation to the board and the community on our workforce diversity update. So I'll pass it over to our team.
Good afternoon. Okay, we're up. Good afternoon, President Tobin, Vice President Silkworth, members of the board, and Dr. Bedell. I am Jessica Cutches, Executive Director of Human Resources, and I'm delighted to be here to share with you our workforce diversity presentation. Presenting with me today is Mr. Scott McGuire, Senior Manager of Human Capital, and Ms. Shanika McKenzie, Workforce Diversity Specialist. Anne Arundel County Public Schools values diversity. We understand that positive exposure to individuals from various races and ethnic backgrounds, especially in childhood, can reduce stereotypes, diminish unconscious implicit biases, and promote cross-cultural social bonding. This presentation supports the workforce diversity policy, which establishes the board's commitment to diversity, equal opportunity, and non-discrimination. The information shared today, along with the accompanying data book you received, is aligned with the workforce diversity regulation. While we present this information to the board annually, Pillar 2 of the Blueprint for Maryland's Future provides a similar statewide mandate for which this information has been provided. We will start by looking at the current education staffing landscape. Nationwide, the number of individuals receiving bachelor's degree in education is decreasing, while the number of individuals receiving bachelor's degree in all fields is increasing. This landscape leaves us in a very competitive market. We are not alone in competing for human capital resources. Similar to what we experienced this year, many school systems experience vacancies to start their school years. During the 2021-2022 school year, 44% of public school systems reported full or part-time teaching vacancies.
I'm going to share a little bit about our own AACPS landscape. And over the past 4 years, AACPS has seen a decline in total teacher applications by 14%, while hires have only increased by 8%. As Dr. Bedell has stated in his many presentations and listening and learning tours, AACPS has a lower starting salary and average salary than surrounding counties, which make it difficult to attract high-quality applicants. Over the past 5 years, we have seen a drastic increase in the number of conditionally certified new hires to 42%. While we have added committed educators to this via this certification path, there are many unintended consequences, such as a lack of teacher preparation program, a limited understanding of educational practices, and pedagogy. A recent survey by the NEA revealed that 55% of educators are considering leaving the profession sooner than they had planned, a figure which increases to 59% for Black educators and 62% for Hispanic educators. AACPS has seen teacher turnover increase by 5 percentage points over the past year, and 30% of our separations come from those teachers with 1 to 5 years of experience. While we have been visiting and meeting with principals, we continue to preach that retention is one of our best recruitment strategies.
We will now update the board on some of our recruitment efforts to date as we prepared for the 22-23 recruitment season. AACPS attended over 80 recruitment events, which included trips to local and out-of-state universities, as well as participation in both local and national job fairs. We continue to host virtual recruitment events to share information with both local and out-of-state applicants who cannot reach us as easily. Our annual teacher recruitment job fair is one of our largest recruitment events and has a focus on encouraging educators from racially diverse backgrounds to participate. Our annual hiring event in Puerto Rico aids in our recruitment of bilingual educators and those from Hispanic Latino backgrounds. At our last recruitment event, we had over 45 interviews. And we are hosting career changer events for candidates who may not have pursued a career in education but are interested in entering the field. Early offers of employment are another tool we use to lock in highly qualified applicants earlier in the hiring season. The acceptance rate for early offers offered for the 22-23 recruitment season was 69%. To aid in our retention, we are using our Right Start advisors who work very closely with teachers who are new to the profession. Conditional teacher support specialists, what are positions that have been added over the last few years, are designed to support the ever-increasing number of conditionally certified teachers who in many instances need more support transitioning into the classroom. Some of our retention-focused events include conditional teacher boot camps and workshops, Saturday symposiums that are hosted twice a year, and our LEADS workshops, which stand for Linking Educators to Ensure Development and Success, and are specifically targeting our teachers of color to provide professional development and networking support for teachers across the county. We are using grant funding from the Maryland LEADS initiative to increase our Grow Your Own programs and help our teacher assistants become teachers. Employee bonuses that were approved by this board demonstrate appreciation to employees during difficult times. The increase in pay that was approved by this board, and if approved by our county council, will help AACPS to be more competitive in competing with surrounding districts for top talent. And through grant funding, we have an individual dedicated to increasing the diversity of our nationally board certified teachers, which in turn will provide greater compensation for those employees. To highlight a few of our successes, as Dr. Bedell mentioned, last Saturday, AACPS held our first teacher recruitment job fair since 2020. We had over 150 attendees at that event, and over 700 interviews were conducted with administrators. Our recruitment team is currently reviewing data from those interviews and are reaching out to applicants. Through our teacher hiring events in Puerto Rico, our most recent event, we hired 14 teachers, which began the 22-23 school year with us. We will be returning to Puerto Rico later on this month. We are excited to bring with us this year a teacher that was hired from this recruitment event that is currently serving as a teacher leader in our county to share his experiences. And overall, we have added 40 teachers from these hiring events to AACPS. Our Explore Teaching events, or our virtual events, have had over 135 participants who have learned more about the teaching profession. And we have had 320 initial certification candidates starting the nationally board certified process for the 22-23 cycle. Through our various recruitment efforts, we are happy to report that nearly 1/3 of the Unit 1 new hires for the 22-23 school year were racially and ethnically diverse. This is our highest percentage of diverse new hires, an increase of 8 percentage points from last year and 6 percentage points from the 2021 school year, where the percentage was nearly 27%, and now has taken over this number as the highest percentage of diverse new hires in the county. And while we are happy to see the percentage of diverse new hires continue to rise, we remain cognizant to the fact that there is still more work to do if we want to truly have a workforce that is reflective of the students and communities that we serve.
So despite our efforts, there continue to be some identified barriers and opportunities for improvement to recruit and retain educators. Lagging salaries behind other districts and other professions continue to be an area in which we struggle. Certification requirements that are time-consuming, complicated, and do not account for success in the classroom or successful, relatable experiences are a challenge. Our conditional teachers have limited time to meet the testing and course requirements to become professionally certified. And let's not forget that certification takes years, and our conditionally certified teachers are teaching in the classroom while we're expecting them to achieve professional certification. At the same time, they're learning a new profession. As we look to the future, we look to the requirements of Blueprint and the report that we submitted to the General Assembly on workforce diversity. The report examines staffing trends, recruitment practices, and interview and selection processes. As a part of the report, we surveyed managers and recent hires, we conducted focus groups, and we analyzed this information in our workforce monitoring team to make recommendations moving forward. This has resulted in enhanced recruitment efforts, including recruitment presence at more community-based events, work around the development of alternative certification programs, and mandatory bias and interview training, which is going on right now. Moving forward, our next report is due on June 30th, and we will provide updates on our progress as well as the next steps at that time. Thank you for the opportunity to share this information today. We're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much. That was a terrific report, and thank you for all that information. I will go by lights. Ms. Shawhan.
Firstly, thank you for coming here again and presenting this report to us as you have in the past. I want to applaud your efforts on recruiting a more diverse workforce for Unit 1. I don't think I need to tell you, I think I'm preaching to the choir when I say how important that is to our students and our community at large. And I just hope that we do all we can to hold on to them with both arms and hands. Yeah. So thank you for your work on this and this effort. And I know that it's not easy. You know, we were already a net importer of teachers before COVID, before inflation hikes, before all of this. And I know it feels like one step forward, two steps back at times, but your work does not go unnoticed by this board. So thank you.
Thank you. I don't see additional lights. I do have one question. You refer to the one barrier that remains being the certification path. And I know from personal experience in discussing with teachers that I know who are career changers, that it's a real issue, because something else that you referred to in the report is that sometimes what they're being asked to take classes in simply don't impact what they're teaching and what they will be teaching. Some of this, I realize much of it is out of our hands. This is state, to a large extent, state requirements. Is there a sense that we are or can make any progress with the state on getting some flexibility here and some movement? Who wants to take that ball?
I guess I'll take it, because it is a conversation that I had with the state superintendent before the holiday break and or the winter break. And it is something that he wants to work on, trying to make it not as difficult for people to be able to get their teacher certification. I haven't had an opportunity to talk to him since. I believe he will be in our school district within the next week or two, next week. So my team is, you guys are hearing me loud and clear. Remind me to make sure that I take advantage of following up with that conversation with him when he comes to visit, and hopefully we'll have an update for you all at that I can email you.
And also, just to add on that, I know that when Dr. Bedell met with the state superintendent, we had provided him with some specifics of scenarios, and some that I think even individuals that had reached out to you as a board. And I thought that there were some very good suggestions from the individuals that had reached out to you to say, which were reflected in these comments, if a teacher is being successful in a classroom, why are we asking for additional hoops to jump through when we know that if we can show that, do they need to take some additional courses when they're already showing success in the classroom? And so I know that he has those specifics, but like anything, there's a few administrative regulations that prevent us from doing anything different right now.
No, I do understand. And I think some of those suggestions also included things like, for career changers, some real sense of, that experience is valuable to us. How can that be actually reflected in in making sure these folks get their certification so that it's not, as Dr. Bedell says so often, one size fits all. A career changer is a different entity often than somebody who's straight out of school, and we need to recognize the value of those positions. So, but I just want to congratulate you. The 17, I think, percentage is definitely the highest we've seen, and that is a great accomplishment, especially in this very competitive market. And it's good to see you here, Mr. McGuire, in this position. And so thank you all for everything that you're doing. It is, as you mentioned, Ms. Cutchess, in another presentation before us, recruiting and hiring is now a year-round activity. So it doesn't seem to have a season anymore. So thank you. Thank you all for coming today. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Great job. Thank you.
Okay, so that brings us to section 6, consent items, award of contracts.
Can I move to bundle, please? Items 6.01 to 6.07.
Second.
Okay, do we have consensus to bundle? Okay. All right, Dr. Bedell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The superintendent recommends that the Board of Education authorize the award of the contracts 6.01 through 6.07 as listed. We are asking you for your approval.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, seeing no lights, Ms. Howell.
Mr. Silkworth,
Aye.
Ms. Frank,
Aye.
Ms. Ellis,
Aye.
Ms. Scholheim,
Aye.
Ms. Dent.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. So that moves us to section 7, action items. 7.01, administrative personnel appointments. Dr. Bedell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The superintendent recommends that the personnel listed on the attached sheet be promoted and or appointed.
So moved.
Second.
All right, seeing no lights, Ms. Howell.
Mr. Silkworth,
Aye.
Ms. Frank,
Aye.
Ms. Ellis,
Aye.
Ms. Scholheim,
Aye.
Ms. Dent,
Aye.
Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Item 7.02, personnel. Dr. Bedell.
Madam President, the superintendent recommends that the board approve the actions as stipulated on the attached sheets.
So moved.
Second.
You all flipped there.
We're working on it.
Seeing no lights, Ms. Howell.
Mr. Silkworth,
Aye.
Ms. Frank,
Aye.
Ms. Ellis,
Aye.
Ms. Scholheim,
Aye.
Ms. Dent,
Aye.
Dr. Tobin.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. Item 7.03, items of legislation. Dr. Bedell.
All right, thank you, Madam President. We will have Grace Wilson. I got it. Grace Wilson, who leads our work in this space, to give the board an update on the items of legislation.
Thank you, Dr. Bedell. Good afternoon, President Tobin and members of the board. For the record, I'm Grace Wilson, Legislative and Policy Specialist. There are 62 bills in the legislative exhibit before you. None of them require the board to adopt a formal position. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. And I know you have busy weekends these days.
I do, yes.
Ms. Scholheim, I see your light.
Yes. So I was alarmed, as I assume most of us are, about some amendments that occurred to a bill that I believe we previously were either agnostic or supportive.
We opposed it
We opposed-
previously
We opposed
because it was a
previously.
legislated curricular mandate.
Yeah, yeah. And so, so we opposed it before and now it's even worse. Is
No,
that
we
accurate?
very strongly oppose it. And I've
Yeah.
submitted a letter to our Anne Arundel County
I'm
delegation.
sorry, you're talking about HB 119?
Yes, I
Correct.
am. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, can you enlighten us as to what went wrong here?
Sure. So House Bill 119, as it was introduced, would have required that all county boards adopt the state health curriculum and implement it with fidelity. We oppose that, as I said, because it's a legislated curricular mandate, which we oppose. Now that the bill has been amended to require that let me just pull the bill up. I want to get the text straight. That we follow the policy and guidelines for the programs of instruction for public schools established by the state board. If we do not follow that, the state board is required to provide notification to us, and then they are required to alert the comptroller to withhold 10% of our state funding. If the issue is not corrected within 90 days, the state board is required, the state superintendent is required to notify the comptroller to withhold an additional 10% of our state funding up to 20.
Wow.
So this is a huge change from how curriculum has typically been done in the state of Maryland, where the state establishes guidance and a framework, and then the locals develop curriculum within that guidance and framework.
Yeah. It's deeply disturbing to me that they would take an already questionable bill and manipulate it in this way. So to any Maryland General Assembly members listening or that will watch this program, check your inbox, and please think twice, because it's my understanding that we're not the only ones who oppose this. That MABE also opposes this now too.
MABE and PZAM are both working against the bill currently.
Yeah. So I mean, listen to your people. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Ms. Frank.
I have a similar train of thought as Ms. Schalheim, not unexpectedly, on this particular item. This is a horrendous amendment that they added, and kind of last minute, just so that everybody is aware, they're actually actively debating it right now. I'm getting live updates as we speak. I do want to thank you, Ms. Wilson, for your letter. I read it. I am a big fan. Thank you very much for all the folks who have asked us to oppose this particular legislation. That letter is available to the public. Is that correct? Is that in our board docs on public? No.
It's certainly a public document. I can post it on the Legislative and Policy Office website if you would like.
Perfect. Perfect. Yep. Yes. I would love for folks to see, because that is the position that we took. It seems like we're all in support of that particular position. I want to thank you very much for that. And, if the folks in Annapolis think that they want to just mandate education, they're welcome to, just rewrite the law and do it themselves, I guess. So thanks, guys.
Or run for school board.
Yeah. If they want to do it, they could. Okay. All right. I'll be here. Thanks.
Okay, everybody. Ms. Corkadell.
Thank you. I was monitoring in the back. I had something to tend to, but I have been listening. So I just wanted to let people know that I have not been completely absent. Although for the votes, I just felt compelled to take a minute. As MABE's president-elect, I just want to first thank everybody at Anne Arundel County Public Schools, and especially you, Grace, because this is a team effort. And I will just tell you that every single board member in the state of Maryland will be receiving the call to action. And a call to action, just to be clear, is a little different than just opposition. This is because of the level of a grievous impact that this legislation could have. And we will remain steadfast, and we will continue to reach out until we have ensured that our students' best interest is being observed. And in the absence of that, we'll continue, regardless of the outcome of this, to ensure that order is restored appropriately, because this is one that everybody should be very concerned about. We have been opposed from the beginning, and this comes down to our fundamental jurisdiction. There is no point of having an elected board if the board itself does not have the ability to well represent its constituents and its community, and most importantly, its students. So thank you all. And we've got a heavy lift in the next several weeks, folks. So thank you so much, Grace, for all you're doing. And I know that everybody all across this entire state shares the concerns that our board has expressed for this. This is a universal, nonpartisan call to action that we need to take, and this is our moment to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Corkadell. I would just like to add, like my colleagues, I'm deeply concerned about this bill. And I would just suggest to those in the state who may be listening, just at the moment when we are about to undertake or are undertaking this landmark legislation that requires us to be as collaborative as possible with the state, with one another, and to get the job done on behalf of our students, I foresee legislation like this setting up a really increasingly unproductive relationship between the state and the LEAs, just as I think we as a board feel and the superintendent feel we've actually been working towards a much more productive relationship with the state board and with the state superintendent. And I find it egregious that at the same moment we are being asked, and I support the blueprint. There's no question about that, but it's a big lift. And to insert something like this, which is bad on its own, but especially at this moment, I find, well, the polite term is short-sighted, and I'll stop with that. But I would hope that cooler heads prevail and some sort of deeper understanding of what's required to actually move forward for our students, rather than whatever politics may have intervened here comes to the fore. So those are just my thoughts. Ms. Ellis.
Thank you. I don't want to echo my colleagues, but I do, Ms. Corkadell, you nailed it with, what are we all here for if this were to pass? And I just did not feel comfortable sitting here silently. So I just have to, this is so radical that I'm making a prediction right now that if this were to pass, we would see students unenrolling in our school system. I firmly believe that. So please, I urge anyone who has any concerns or is any aware of this bill in any way, and if you're not, please look into it. Please contact your local lawmakers. It's critical. Thank you.
And again, this is House Bill 119.
Can I say the House Bill one more time?
For those in the back, yes. Ms. Schalheim, you're light again.
I just want to point out one more note. Listen to how we're in lockstep, y'all, about this. This covers every part of, although we serve as nonpartisan, we run as nonpartisan board members. Between the 7 of us here today, we represent probably the full breadth of the political spectrum. And we all think this bill is bad. Just saying. Thanks.
Yeah, we're not always 100% united, but I think we pretty much are in this case. So so that in and of itself might be the next miracle of the day. So Ms. Corkadell.
So I'm often asked what you can do, and I just want to, I'd hate to end this conversation without giving some suggestions to folks who are listening and paying attention, perhaps either now or in a postscript review of the video. And I'll just say this, yes, emails are effective. Yes, letters to the editor are effective, both the Sun and our local. Yes, phone calls to the offices of the folks who will be voting on this is very, very important. That is notifying your civic organizations and anybody who has an interest in public education. There should be no rock left unturned on this one. So we appreciate everybody who has been working. I know a lot of organizations who have an interest in public education have been following this, and between last week and the beginning part of this week has been feeling the brunt of the next move that this legislation has been turning into. So thank you all for supporting our position on this, because you are really supporting our students. So there is no there is no magic number that is too much in way of communicating to folks.
No, Mrs. Stunt.
Okay, thank you. All right, that takes us to item 7.04, students course-related fees, code JG.
Thank you, Madam President. This is the second reading for this policy. No comments were received during the 30-day public period. Ms. Wilson is here if there are any discussion or questions.
Thank you, Dr. Bedell. As Dr. Bedell said, this is the second reading for policy JG, student fees, fines, and charges. It was last updated in 1991. It's being updated to align with current AACPS practice and the requirements of the blueprint for Maryland's future, that students meeting college and career-ready standards will have access to post-college and career pathways at no cost to students. As Dr. Bedell said, we've received no comments during the public comment period. And with that, I would be happy to take any questions on this policy.
Okay, seeing no lights.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Wilson. All right, that takes us to item 7.05, FY 2024 capital budget and 6-year plan modification.
All right. The superintendent recommends approval of increasing the state funding request for the FY 2024 capital budget. And for this presentation, we will have Mr. Stansky and staff to take us through it.
Thank you, Dr. Bedell. For the record, Matt Stansky, Acting Chief Operating Officer.
Kyle Rook, Director of Facilities.
Okay, so you're probably thinking to yourself, we just adopted our capital budget on February 15th. Why are we at the very next board meeting available back here asking you to adopt it again? Well, sometimes timing between our statutory requirements and the state's release of data and funding don't always align. And so here we are. So on February 9th, the IEC did adopt its 90% recommendations for funding, but that signaled to 24 LEAs that additional funding would be available. On February the 17th, 2 days after we adopted our budget, that guidance was released with our targets. And so good news is the governor has put in a total of $485 million to date in the capital budget, of which we are targeted to receive approximately $45.5 million, which is a great number. So that's about $14 million over where we were anticipating. Our target was 31.6. In addition to that, there's for the last couple of years now, we've had this new additional funding for, it's called enrollment growth and relocatable classrooms. And it has signaled to us that we would be receiving an additional $8.8 million on top of that. And so, right, so all in, we're looking at an increase of what you voted on February 15th of about $22.8 million. So that is the good news. Also in that memo on the 17th from the IAC, they did stipulate, however, that there was some additional hurdles we'd have to go through, and it is exactly mirrors the process that we go through in September. And so the process includes a board vote on our recommendation for projects, and then they will be seeking a county support letter as well. So of course, what's unique about Anne Arundel County is the county executive can't send that support letter without council approval. So with your vote to approve today, we will send the resolution over to the county executive. We've been in discussions with them. They will have a letter of support sent to the council, and we're looking at a late March council meeting for approval. The IAC has given districts until April 13th for those county support letters to come forward. And so the exhibit shows most of the money is going into the Cat North project. And so we're not changing our bottom line total. We're just lowering the county request and increasing the the state request based on the latest guidance from the IAC. And I will say in one final thing, while we're all, Team Maryland, there is a potential if the state of Maryland loses the FBI headquarters to Virginia, that additional 100 million statewide may come into the school construction program. But I think the governor and his team would, at the moment, prefer to see that FBI headquarters stay in or come to Maryland. But there is also the IAC had signaled that potential as well. So there could be more changes coming. But for now, we've presented to you what we know. And so we are here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Well, it's nice to hear some good news.
There you go.
Even if we do have to jump through hoops to get it. So, Ms. Scholheim, I see your light.
Oh, just whenever the moment's ready.
Okay.
I'm happy to move after
Oh,
questions
okay.
and comments.
Ms. Corkadell.
Thank you for the information.
I was going to similarly, except for just add the comment that I am happy to continue to update this as long as money keeps coming in, especially for the turf field down at Southern High School. I am still hopeful. We still got a few weeks to go before we're going to know, but I'm hoping to see this back at our first April meeting, quite frankly, with that modification, if at all possible. So thank you for all you do. I was going to suggest that once questions are done, I'm happy to do that, but I'll second Ms. Scholheim at the appropriate time.
Okay. Well, thank you as always for the update. Seeing no additional lights, Ms. Scholheim.
I move that we adopt the budget as amended.
Second.
Okay. Seeing no additional lights, Ms. Howell.
Mr. Silkworth?
Aye.
Ms. Frank?
Aye.
Ms. Ellis?
Aye.
Ms. Corkadell?
Aye.
Ms. Scholheim?
Aye.
Ms. Dent?
Aye, aye,
Doc-
aye.
Dr. Tobin?
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0.
Okay. Thank you. This brings us to section 8, review items. 8.01, award of contracts. Are there additional questions? Ms. Scholheim, I assume that's your old light? Any other lights? No? Okay, well, that leaves us with one motion left.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Can somebody second?
Second.
What? We gotta ask a second.
Is anybody going to complain? No. Okay, then. All right. Motion to adjourn moved. Have a good afternoon, everyone. Thank you.